morning. Good to be here back to Riga. It's always a lovely place to be here. So today we are going to also welcoming those joining online. Today we're going to explore the topic of how Baltic regions can be competitive technology innovation system, for example. So my name is Sylvia Liu. I'm with u-blox corporate strategy group and responsible for technology corporate strategy. So u-blox is a Swiss chipset and module vendor, and delighted to be here also at the capacity of UK Telecom Innovation Network, UKTIN. So joining me today are the fabulous panelists, which we're going to have a round table introduction, a very brief one, but also after that we're going to explore three topics. So first one, really to emphasizing the strength, capability of the Baltic regions. And secondly, what are the challenges that we see here today we'd like to address? And thirdly, the strategic recommendations for how to be competitive. Yeah. So these are the three topics we're going to explore today. But of course, to start, I'd like to invite my fabulous panelists to give a brief introduction, 2 minutes each. Who you are, who you're presenting, and why you're here. So we'll start with you, Darius.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm Darius Stravinskas, working in the Ministry of Transport and Communication in Lithuania and acting as a head of future policy group, which is responsible for the mobility of the future in Lithuania, more or less, and covering a lot of topics, of which one is electronic communication part, and there goes all the infrastructure things with 5G, broadband, satellite communications, and all the stuff. So we more or less did a lot of job, regardless that 5G was just introducing in all the region, but at the moment, later on, I will share how we achieved all goals we wanted to reach 4 years ago, and that how we did everything, and already it's done in Lithuania, more or less.
Fantastic. Great to have you here. And we got Liga.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, my name is Liga Ellere, and I'm from Exonicus. And Exonicus is a Latvian-owned small company with a headquarters in the United States, Seattle, Washington State, but also having a sister company here in Latvia, in Valmiera, called Exonicus R&D. And what we do is we develop mixed reality solutions for the military medical professionals to help them to train doing casualty care by reducing the need for the typical traditional resources like equipment, instructors, things like that. And Exonicus actually was founded back in 2013, so we have been in a business for a while already. And I will share a really quick story here. When I was in a business school, the lead of the innovation program there, he had this nice saying that there is no such a thing as 5 years old chicken, just like there is no such a thing as 5 years old startup. Well, Exonicus is 10, so I would say pretty mature chicken. But it is possible if you do innovative technology solutions for a composition of three probably most conservative sectors in terms of the introduction of innovation: military, medicine, and education, plus in B2G sector. So I'm happy to be here to share some of my insights from our incredible journey from 2013 to today. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Certainly we're going to hear a lot about your insights in especially startup community. And Lena, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Lena Briede. There was written that I'm from Riga Technical University as Vice Director for Innovations. Riga Technical University is one of the leading universities in Baltic states regarding the science and engineering. And we are a really active player in innovation ecosystem, so in all different levels, starting from students, researchers, and basically our main goal is to find the best way how we can transform the economy through the innovations. But I have also several other hats, maybe regarding this discussion. I'm also a European Innovation Council board member, that is one of the largest investment funds in Europe, and also Latvian Startup Association board member, so we're quite closely work with the startups. And I believe this is a great moment when we need to talk about this, not only region as a whole, but also each stakeholder role to really boost our innovation ecosystem. It's extremely important to identify ourselves, and Riga Technical University has done that. We know that we are part of the ecosystem and we know our role. And I hope that other stakeholders also see themselves in that and the role and also the ambition and responsibility to make it further.
Yeah, amazing. That's really, with lots of hats, we're going to switch between them later in different topics. And last but not least, we got Jakob from Meta, which is absolutely great to have you here. And can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yes, hello everybody. So first of all, can you hear me before I start?
Yeah.
Amazing. So thank you very, very much for having me. I'm extremely sorry I cannot be kind of in person with you, but as we talk digital, I'm also happy we can use these kind of digital tools for us to still be able to connect and be part of the discussion today. So yeah, my name is Jacob Turowski. I have the great pleasure to be the Public Policy Director for Meta in CEE. So myself and my team, we cover like 21 countries in the region, and really the goal for us is to interact with the local ecosystems and be part of all these discussions about precisely how digital and how innovation can be, how this potential can be used as well as possible in the region. So extremely excited to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Amazing. So let's go straight to the next topic, which is really the strengths and capabilities of this Baltic region. So we start with you, Darius, with your extensive experience in the Transport and Communication Ministry, and also your experience initiating the 5G sandbox. Can you tell us more about this initiative and how you see this as a potential blueprint to scale the impact into the wider region?
Yeah, so long story short, actually, we started 4 years ago with the 5G national roadmap, which together with all the stakeholders, we created 20 measures that was needed to improve, all the legislation and regulations, and as well as infrastructure that we could have good coverage of 5G in Lithuania. So after these 4 years, till this end of the year, we will be finishing all these measures implementing, and now in Lithuania we have already about 90% of 5G coverage. And one of these measures was, related to somehow facilitate, boost innovations according with 5G. So at the end, when the opportunity came, to get the financing from European Commissions with this RRF funding, we decided to allocate some budget to adoption of 5G technology in all the sectors of Lithuania, using even others innovations and technologies like autonomous mobility, drones, Internet of Things, AI, VR, and all others. So with that, we have just finished our competition of the projects that could be funded, and And it was the success because we have allocated only 24 millions for that, one part for startups as well. But at the end, we have applications for 120 millions that needed to be funded. So this is like success story. We have seen the potential of our Lithuanian market players and that innovations in Lithuania will be necessary, implemented, but this is the point when the policymakers can boost, impact this innovation implementation in the country much faster than just leaving it alone to the market players.
And it's also a platform for you to test your policy.
Yes, and
areas.
Yeah, and another part, actually, what we say and what we are willing to do, that these projects will be implemented not just by the private sectors and the funding, but also adopting and changing the regulation and legislations, that these projects will be tested, then they can work for a long time in the country in practice all the time. So if like remote driving will be implemented, then we adopt regulation according to the project. You know that after finishing the project, remote driving in Lithuania could work later on, and the business can use these all benefits of it.
Yeah, that's really cool example of how this funding could help innovation, but also scale them to other neighboring regions, if you like, in terms of the policy scale. Now, move on to Lina, which I know you have different hats, so with your European Innovation Council's hats, but also the Latvia Startup Association, I think you're involved heavily as well. Can you provide us an overview of where do you see Riga, Latvia's strengths are, and how do you see that could help in terms of filling the gaps of what the other region don't have?
This is a great question, and it's the moment when we need to be proud of something, especially in Latvia, and this is what we need to learn. We need to more talk about the great things that are here. But I would say that we need to look in this regional context. It's at the moment for innovations, it's impossible to talk about one country or one region, almost about one country, or one like European Union, or it's not there anymore. So I believe question is about how Latvia can bring some good value to the whole innovation value chain and in which specific topics. We had great discussion yesterday about microchips. This, everyone knows in this room, microchips, right? If there's some big role for those one or some countries in this topic, yes, there is. But it has been 50 years work on it. So, and if we go back to Latvia, I believe we have several advantages. So first of all, I believe that Latvia is in undiscovered potential, especially regarding the talents and excellent science and excellent industry. We are vibrant, so we are moving fast. It's our surviving kit, right? So to do things, we need to be fast and flexible. If we talk about regulation, let's take, it's basically, it's not first hand, it's second hand. So first of all, we figure out what exactly we need to do, and then we move with the regulation, and we can do it fast. And it's amazing for innovation development. And as I mentioned before, the vibrant, it's extremely important that ecosystem is really close for each other. We have this one handshake principle. We had that joke some weeks ago in Boston because we had a conversation about Latvian future, and there was in the room president. So this is only one shake to get our country president. So that only what we need is the clear message what exactly we will do, because there's so many topics, and this is for small countries big challenge where we should invest, because resources are limited. And we need to move from this project perspective to the long-term framework perspective. We are project country. We have hundreds of projects, amazing projects, but they always are limited, right? They start and the resources is not there, so many we need. We need to move from the project perspective to the long-term perspective, to the 10, 20, 30, 50 years, where we want to go, in which direction, what specific technologies we will develop. And we have good foundation here. 5G or telecommunication companies are great. There's more usage of the mobile phones than I believe we are the #1, if I'm not wrong. So there's a lot of things that are already happening. We need to use the situation and say loudly that this is where we will invest today, tomorrow, and next 10, 20, 30 years. And this is extremely important. This is advantage. We are at that point where we can make this decision, and it will be really important.
So talents, vibrant startup ecosystem, and Liga is one of the good examples, which we come back to you after Jakob. So Jakob, so from Meta, with all those advantages that Lena just mentioned, so how do you see they can, or Meta could leverage those strengths and really make, if you like, this region to be a force runner in the era of Meta? So please.
Yes, thank you very much for this question. So I think that the Baltics, Latvia, but more broadly, Europe is really now in a kind of super important moment in time of evolution of tech. It's not a revolution because everything evolves in this business, but we do have this kind of really game changers with AI being more and more implemented in many fields, but also with the metaverse, which is, as you can imagine, for Meta, something that is extremely important, and also something that we do believe should be developed really at local level in Europe. All these technological evolutions that we see are not evolutions that will or should be developed once again back in the United States, in the Silicon Valley. This is really here. Europe, and maybe especially EC, and maybe especially the Baltics, have an amazing potential to really be the front runners here. And I say so because of, as already mentioned, the unique talents that we have, the amazing engineers that we have in the region, the amazing universities that we have in the region. So really there's an opportunity for us here to be again the front runners. And if you think about it, it wouldn't be the first time. Like Europe was the leading kind of region with regards to 3G 20 years ago. Well, we are at the moment where maybe we can win it back and kind of stop giving the driving seat to the US or like some other kind of approaches to internet represented by China. Now, I'll maybe deep dive a little bit with this kind of AR, VR, or next generation internet that we call internally the metaverse, because to me it really is an amazing example of, first of all, the fact that it is a natural evolution of the internet. It all started because technology allowed us to do so. It all started with the possibility for human beings to communicate with written messages. Then technology allowed us to send pictures, then videos, live videos, and really now the next step is to create this more immersive internet, this internet that will allow us to, not being next to each other, have this feeling to be next to each other. I give you a very concrete example. I'm a huge football fan. Today, when I switch on the TV, I can watch my football game. Tomorrow, I will put my Meta Quest on and I will be in the stadium. Now, of course, Meta develops the hardware, develops some part of applications. But most importantly, and I guess this would be my main message, for this new immersive internet to fly and this potential to be used as should be, it's really about an ecosystem to be developed again at European and at local level with all the startups, all the developers, but also public administration, also governments, to sit around the table and to think like, what is it that we could do to use this potential? And as already mentioned during this discussion, it's not like every country can go everywhere. So this kind of niche approach, where is it that we want to specialize ourselves? Where is it that we want to be really good at? Is absolutely crucial. And to get there, to gather this ecosystem, what we see in many countries is that there is really a need to, again, I'm going to reuse the word, create the ecosystem. And like we have examples from Poland, Romania, Slovenia, where we have like committees really working on the immersive internet to develop a strategy hand in hand with the government, so that there is a clear kind of path of what should be done, who does what, so that this potential is used as at local level, be it by university, be it by startups, be it by developers. So I really think that we are in a stage of an evolution that allows for like huge things to happen, but there must be coordination, there must be discussion among all the local stakeholders, so that there is a clear direction in terms of regulation, but also in terms of really core priorities for the potential to be used.
Yeah, that's really good insight. And so, of course, lots of mention to the startups, innovation ecosystem, and we have hands-on lady here, which have your startup here in Latvia. So can you give us your insight into what's been working and perhaps what's also not been working?
Right, thank you. Well, first of all, we are lucky to be able to operate in the free country. And I think let's not forget this when we tend to complain about what other better opportunities we could have. So firstly, we are in a free business environment, we are a free country. So that's a very important aspect, I think. Then, again, we are lucky to have a wide range of opportunities for the new businesses here. We have mentorship programs, we have accelerators, we have funds, European funds available, we have access to that. And Exonicus actually is the first company from Latvia who coordinates European Defence Industry Consortium within the European Defence Fund initiative. So it's just an example that the chicken has some power actually to do big things. And this is a story about being fast and flexible. I believe then we are lucky to have excellent internet infrastructure here. Outstanding in internet in Latvia. We have the first in Europe 5G defense testbed, which is freely available for small companies like ours to do our future-oriented technology tests just across the street, basically. So it's a great advantage. Then the talents, the people. We have so many talented people here. Like Exonicus R&D team, it's such a strong team. And I mean, we don't hire aliens. We have Raimonds from Tukums and Sandis from Talsi and Davis from Valmiera and Liga from Cēsis and Elina from Cēsis. You know, these are people coming from the same towns and schools like most Latvians do. So very, very talented team. And then Exonicus has collaborated with the local research institutions, universities. We have had very good experience in research collaboration with Riga Stradiņš University Military Medicine Research Center. And then we have such bright minds out in the regions also, like University of Vidzeme, Applied Science University, They are doing, in their VR laboratory, they do miracles in terms of the research. Very world-class results are there. So it's a great advantage, and we just have to use those opportunities here. Of course, it doesn't mean that there are no challenges. And if the journey was really easy one, then probably Exonicus would be much younger chicken than it is. So of course, there are some challenges we face here.
Yeah, so perhaps also continue with that point on the challenge. So can you illustrate and what really would help you to move to the next stage?
Well, as for startups, scaling is always a challenge. The domestic market here, of course, is really small, and so we have a good reason why we started in the US. But actually, we are happy that now we also have a presence here in Europe, in Latvia. But to be honest, when comparing challenges having one startup in the US and having one here in Europe, we face more challenges here, and that's true. And in our experience, these challenges, since we work with the governments, with armed forces, it's about, how to say, rules of the game. We need clear rules of the game. It's something that also Lena said, that we need a strategic vision where to go further. We are a project country, that's true. So we have this project, and does the government has a vision what to do next once we have finished? I mean, we have been working for 2 years on a very tailored to Army's needs product. But when the project ends, what happens? We don't have a promise from the government what would the business deal by the end of the day look like. So it's this project approach. It's good for the processes. So we have development process well funded, which is nice and which is great, of course. But in terms of the result, when it comes to the commercialization, I know that Europe is pushing for the joint procurement now, especially in the defense sector and so on. From my observations, I think we are not there yet. On a paper, yes, probably, but I don't feel that the governments are really, that they feel comfortable on purchasing solutions coming straight out from the laboratory. And then they put the requirements high. And then by the end of the day, again, the big and traditional companies win the deal. So that's probably the main challenge in my experience.
Now, if I may, hold on, that's a good point. If I may move to Jakob, so you are corporate, massive corporate compared to startup, but also you managed to navigate in this region in terms of funding, commercialization. So and there's also a fine line between policy regulation and also innovation encouragement. So there's a balance here. So how do you see regulation in Europe would affect the local startups and economies, and what potential solutions can you suggest to mitigating this? What is the fine line, and how do you recommend to really help the startup also the scale up to navigate to the next step as well?
Yeah, so, I mean, there is in Europe, and maybe especially in CE, a massive community of tech enthusiasts, tech experts, again, startups, universities, you name them. People that really understand how important like everything that is digital related can be for the kind of macroeconomic growth of the local countries. And I really insist on the CE aspect because you know, we continue seeing this kind of difference between you know, countries like Germany and like France, who are kind of stuck in their old industries, and countries, well, you know, in Central and Eastern Europe, including the Baltics, that we don't have any Mercedes, we don't have any, you know, Renault. So for us, smaller businesses and smaller startups are really the backbone of our economies, and this is something that we absolutely need to cherish. So there is in the region a lot of enthusiasm about it. But then if you look at the nitty-gritty of what's going on from a regulatory perspective in Europe, and if you compare it to what's going on elsewhere in the world, well, the more it goes, the more I'm really afraid that we may miss lots of opportunities. And maybe I'll start by giving you very concrete examples of a new trend that we see of products, new products, just not being launched in Europe because of regulatory constraints. Maybe you've heard about this new app that we launched a few months ago called Threads, this kind of Twitter/X-like application. It's been the most downloaded application in the world ever so far, so massive success. Well, we didn't launch it in Europe. We didn't launch it in Europe only because of regulatory reasons. Same for Google didn't launch Bart, their new AI assistant at the beginning. We're launching hand in hand with Luxottica, Ray-Ban, kind of new smart glasses, and all the AI component will not be incorporated in the glasses. Why? Because of regulatory constraints. And these are things, of course, that it will impact like us, Microsoft, Google, but it will have at the end of the day a consequence for consumers in Europe. It will have at the end of the day a consequence for SMBs and for local players. So really this kind of fully appreciating the fact that Europe wants to be a leading player in the regulation aspect of the tech sector, and maybe to some extent rightly so. I mean, I think it's fair to say that for the past 20 years, there's been a huge need of regulating the tech sector. There's been a huge need of regulating things that were absolutely totally new. If you think about data, if you think about content online, this kind of regulations that really Brussels drive is something that is extremely important. But on the other hand, what we see is that within the 10 top global companies, none is from Europe. When we think about private investments in AI, well, these investments are 20 times more important in the United States than in Europe. And AI is a very good example, by the way, because one of the reasons why there is, at the end of the day, so little investments in Europe is the to-come regulatory framework that is now being developed in Europe that doesn't give any certainty about what is it that can or cannot be done moving forward in Europe. And well, if you invest, you would like to know where you're going. So again, I really have the feeling that whereas a lot's been done on the regulatory side, now there is really a need to maybe slow down and think about what can be the impact on the businesses. And from that perspective, I really am convinced that our region has a massive role to play. We are the countries that have the better understanding of the added value that, again, the tech sector, broadly speaking, can bring to the economies. We are the region that where the tech sector plays the biggest role, all in all, in the local economies. Hence, this is really crucial for the region to drive this agenda, kind of balancing between regulatory framework that is needed to protect the user, to protect the consumers, but on the other hand, really not allow for the creation of a regulatory framework that will make us lose lots of opportunities.
Yeah, that's very insightful. And this agility here, this really also reflects to what I mentioned earlier of this region's strengths, which can help with that particular regulatory framework balance. Now, move on to Lina. So Liga mentioned about this funding difference for small companies and big players. So how do you see in the European or Baltic region, what would be the suggestion to really help to balancing that? And do you see any success stories, and how do you see that should be going forward, moving forward?
Yeah, because this again, it will be unpopular, maybe suggestion. But if we go again, we need to look at the investment funds that we have here in the region. They are mostly funded by Europe money in the first hand, and then we need to look again in Europe-wise how we look in the investment world. And Jacob is totally right. So the private investment capital in Europe, there's several times less than in the United States. And private capital, I'm not calling that free money, you know, but it's more flexible money than funds itself. So that's why more of the promising startups look in the United States as possible second investor or the third investor and stays there. Because of that it's faster, it's bigger money, there's more opportunities, and they are more risk-taking country and investors at whole than Europe. Europe now understands that. The AIC fund showed that there is challenges, I will call it simple challenges, and there's a lot of discussion with the startups, and it's the big, about the turn moment. If Europe will be able to make more risky decisions regarding the investment and hold the promising startups here, or will give up and leave all the startups for United States and other countries. So it's a big decision. And regarding the region like Baltic states, and there's, again, Jacob highlight really important question about the private companies and like private sector. We don't have a big companies, it's true. And question is who should finance the startups, who is able to, you know, raise the private capital. In Estonia, I believe there's the big moment was Skype. So it's really changed the way, but it's true. It's also that in Finland it was Nokia, etc. So, but it's big game changers who changed the VCs, who changed the private capital money, who's turning in the market. And we don't have that. So we don't have this big exit, and the VC funds are based on Europe funds, and it goes together with a lot of regulations again. And I believe that in this moment there should be government who steps in. In small regions, again, it's research, you know, it's based on research. In small regions, innovation should be funded from the government perspective. And then goes together with these priorities that I mentioned before. If it's like defense, so it's not project, you know, application to the investment. If defense is important, we know exactly how we will prolong this kind of activities and investment in new technologies that we will involve. It's crucial. And I'm not aware about how the things is going on with the Estonia government and Lithuania government, but I believe we are in the same, you know, I was like waving period, but it's extremely important. And again, regarding the Europe funds, let's be honest, the split of the funds, 3% goes to 13 countries and 98% goes to other countries. It's fair, so it's a competition, but still, so the balance between the regions, there's no balance. So regarding the innovation index, name all the indexes you want in Europe-wise, so we see that this dramatic change, and we're losing this opportunity, and this is what I'm saying in every moment that I can, in the panel, interviews, whatever. Europe is not united regarding the innovation market. Let's be honest, let's start with that. And then we need to figure out what exactly we should do next, because we're losing the game regarding the innovation competitiveness with other regions because we are not united. It's not one market. there's no one market. And then I believe, and also from a regulation perspective that Jacob mentioned, and I believe that here we should be united at least as a Baltic states and have at least one voice in Europe Commission. There's no voice of our region. There is, I'm sorry, but it's so tiny that there's nobody here, that there's some, issues here. but it's extremely important to be, as Latvia, we are not able to do a lot in the European Commission. It's true, we are one country from a lot of countries. But if we are 3 countries, it's already better. So we have common opinion. I believe this is really political important decision that we have this one united voice, what exactly we want to say, and go together. As a small region, there's no chance that as a one player we can win any game.
Well, we heard challenges, we heard what the startup needs, and obviously there's also over-regulatory, so really not to put you on the spot. What would you suggest, or do you think there's actions or activities underlying or happening ongoing now to address those? Perhaps just mention, because of course the 5G Sandbox is one of the initiatives with funding, and you'll be announcing the winner of the next funding soon, I guess. So how do you mitigate or navigating those challenges from your perspective?
Yeah, so I heard what everyone said, that small, let's say, startups is challenging the scale problem and even what would be at the end of the project. The big corporations challenging the regulation and legislation part, and what the countries like Lithuania is challenging, and from policy making. Well, and we are challenging allocating the budget for these innovations, and fostering this, let's say, innovation adoption or creation in our region. So it looks like, there is quite simple solution, but of course it needs, to be agreed on between all the countries. And like a good example would be, if you heard already that the UK will allocate about £250 million for solutions that would be tested and created in UK. Lithuania allocated 24 million, and that these, let's say, solutions would be implemented in Lithuania. But, as Lithuania and one region, of course, we can, be agile like a country and change the regulation and legislation in this one area, national level. But we won't attract so many, potential companies to do their test and even their, business in Lithuania, because we are small by the region, by the country itself, more or less. But, if all the countries, 3 Baltic states, would come up with the main idea that they can allocate each other, let's say, 25 or 30 millions each and create one big fund, it will be about 1 million euros of funding, so then it would be a little bit more or attractive to all organizations, and will create a little competitions to the big, let's say, economies. But for other hand, not only the money attracts, but and regulation. So of course we won't change, let's say, Europe's Commission's national, regional regulatory frameworks, but we can adopt our national regulations as possible. That the corporations and companies could easily test and invest money and provide these solutions not only for Lithuanian, let's say, but all together in all Baltic states at once. Yes. So let's say one company comes to test something in Lithuania and it works. Okay, we are happy here. But if we say that all regulation framework of all Baltic states would be the same, so the company would come and test the business, and provide solution in all the region. So the economy is much bigger here, and then we can create the competition to other, let's say, regions, and then how we can have our voice, in Europe Commission as well, with the good examples, what works, and then the national authorities, let's say, policymakers, can make more risky decisions than the Europe Commission, more or less talking about the whole Europe Union. So this is how we have to agree on common fund, and I'm not here, yeah, on common fund, on common regulation in Baltic states, and go along this way. So we tested, and it works in Lithuania, and we see the potential of the market. So now we have to scale with the region, and not to reinvent a wheel. So need just to sit and to agree on all these perspectives of funding, on regulation, and on common voice in the Europe Commission.
Well, that's fantastic. Wish we had more time, and I need to get back to the MC and see if there's online questions.
Yes, Sylvia, thank you. There is one, it's kind of comment, but also the question, because in our poll, when we were asking what is the most important thing or factor which would work, actually every third said it's about diverse and talented pool of people who would do it. Every third. And then the question was, what do you think are the strategies to employ and develop tech talent? Because it's such a competition all around the world. There's so many great places to go and so big money to be paid to the talents. What has worked the best so far? Jakob, by the way, mentioned EU regulations as a repellent because we are just not allowed to come up with some projects or products. Is there anything else? But what would work? What is working now?
I believe we need to then go deeper, understand what talent is. So, in my opinion, the talent is that person who have discovered his or her strengths. And then, from that point, you move forward, right?
Discovered what?
Your talent, what exactly you are, what is your core talent, and and then you can work on it, because talent is the result of the work. It's not something that you have just, oh yeah, I'm so talented in painting, but I haven't painted none, right? So this is about discover yourself and then understand exactly where I'm moving there. And I believe regarding that we have small communities, this possibility and flexibility to change the path, they are there, and this is extremely important. And I know that this lifelong learning possibilities, that you are this moment, you are this person, and then you figure out I want to be another person and start something new, and it's possible.
No matter how old are you.
Yeah, exactly, and that these decisions are not so many related to life and death decisions, that is in big economies. Like there you are not able to take a pause, and start from over again, because you have some responsibilities, big responsibilities regarding financial responsibilities, etc., etc. So I believe that here we are more working on discovery, the talents, and then help them to develop it. And this, I believe, also for education system, it should be a turn moment, that we are not just listening the industry who is screaming, we need more engineers, we need IT specialists, hundreds, thousands, tomorrow. We hear you, we know. But again, we can't just force people to choose one or other direction. It's about this individual approach, and it's extremely important.
So parents, please help your kids to discover their talents, and tech would be also a great place to go. Thank you, Liene, for your comment, and thank you, Sylvia, for the moderation, and thank you, the panelists.